Saddam Hussein and his sons must leave Iraq within 48 hours.
The war that lasted for 8 years between Iran and Iraq weakened both states. During the war, Iraq accumulated external debts amounting to $100 billion. Iraq's debt to Kuwait alone exceeded $10 billion. After the war with Iran, Kuwait demanded the repayment of its debt from Iraq. There was also an unresolved border issue between Iraq and Kuwait. Iraqi President Saddam Hussein claimed that Kuwait was part of Iraqi territory. Additionally, due to Kuwait's significant oil exports, it depressed the price of oil. Iraq's demand for oil had decreased, leading to strained relations between the two countries. Iraq was aware of Kuwait's vulnerability and had territorial claims. At that time, the United States ambassador to Iraq, April Glaspie, met with Saddam. The ambassador conveyed that the United States had no interest in being a party to the conflict, but warned against economic tensions with Iraq. This was the green light for Saddam to enter Kuwait. Kuwait was occupied, and Iraq declared it a province. The United Nations Security Council condemned Iraq and called on Saddam to end the occupation. However, Saddam ignored the calls. An embargo was imposed on Iraq, and Saddam responded with defiance, linking the withdrawal of Western forces from Arab lands, particularly Palestine, to his consideration of Kuwait. In protest against the international organization's objection, Saddam hindered the departure of foreigners from his country. The United Nations Security Council set January 15, 1991, as the deadline for Iraq to withdraw its forces from the occupied territories. Iraq did not comply. Under the leadership of the United States, a coalition force consisting of 37 countries, including the United Kingdom, France, Saudi Arabia, Syria, and Egypt, initiated military operations against Iraq. Operation Desert Storm lasted until February 28, 1991. Iraq faced defeat and was compelled to accept the terms imposed by the United States. In the aftermath of the unsuccessful Kuwait War, Iraq experienced economic collapse, military weakening, and an external debt reaching trillions of dollars. During this period, uprisings occurred among the Kurds in the north and the Shiites in the south. Saddam responded ruthlessly, resulting in thousands of deaths and marking the beginning of the invasion of Iraq. Iraq faced another embargo, and Saddam Hussein was accused of committing genocide. The United States asserted that Iraq possessed a substantial stockpile of weapons of mass destruction, (POMDs), and accused Saddam of planning to use these weapons in Europe and the United States. Saddam denied having such weapons and allowed inspections in his country. United Nations Security Council members, including monitors, inspectors, and the director of the Inspection Commission, Hans Blix, arrived in Iraq. Despite searches, no weapons of mass destruction were found. In 1998, the Inspection Commission accused Saddam Hussein of being a spy for the United States, leading to a 4-day bombing of Iraq by the United States. In 2000, George W. Bush assumed the U.S. presidency, and 2 years later, Washington declared the necessity of resuming weapons inspections in Iraq. Iraq maintained its denial of possessing weapons of mass destruction. The United States accused Iraq of lacking democracy, asserting that intervention was needed to liberate the people from Saddam's regime. Saddam permitted weapons inspections once again, revealing no evidence of such weapons. On February 14th, a meeting of the United Nations Security Council took place. Colin Powell, the U.S. Secretary of State, contested Hans Blix's claim that certain countries possessed weapons. Iraq was accused of continuing to violate laws and arming itself, prompting consideration of military intervention as diplomatic efforts proved fruitless. Britain supported military intervention, but Russia and France opposed it. Unable to secure full UN support, the United States accused Saddam of aiding the al-Qaeda terrorist organization in 2001, justifying subsequent interventions to bring democracy, eliminate weapons of mass destruction, and neutralize terrorists. Some experts argued that the primary motives were to control Iraq's oil and remove Saddam, who resisted Washington's demands. In some sources, Israel's existence and security are presented as a reason. George Bush appeals to Saddam Hussein, giving him 48 hours to leave the country with his family. Saddam Hussein, however, declares that he will defend his country to the death. The 48-hour deadline given to Saddam expires. On March 20th, 2003, at 0450 local time, explosions are heard in Iraq. The United States sends 500,000 troops, the UK 45,000, Australia 2,000, and Poland 179 soldiers into Iraq. The US military quickly approaches Karbala and Baghdad. On April 9th, Baghdad surrenders. Reports spread about Saddam's death or escape from the country. On April 10th, he addresses the public, stating that he is alive and will continue to resist. By May 1st, 2003, Iraq had surrendered to the United States. Saddam and his sons were nowhere to be found. In July, Saddam's 2 sons and his grandson are killed in Mosul. Saddam Hussein is captured in December 2003 in his hometown of Tikrit. With the Iraqi court's decision in 2006, Saddam Hussein is sentenced to death. In the courtroom, his final words are, "You are a traitor. You are an agent for the United States. This homeland is ours. The nation will hold you accountable." Saddam Hussein is executed on December 30th. However, the joy of democracy in Iraq does not last long. The country will experience chaos and internal conflict for years. The mass destruction weapons that the United States sought are never found in Iraq.